Woo! Rock and roll on a Tuesday morning.
Yes.
Welcome, one and all, to the Wise Agent Society Sharpen the Saw episode. Who the heck knows? Episode 20.
Oh, I like this number.
Yeah, and we have Miss Danielle Thompson back with us again. Long time no see. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and how are you? Thank you for having me.
Doing well. Thank you so much. You look so bright and cheery.
Thank you. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Me, on the other hand, I apologize to everybody if I sound weird because I'm sick and just working through some crud in this region.
Oh, we gotta get that.
Yeah, it's all good though. I'm in good spirits. I'm just working through the cold season. That's why people said don't move to the Midwest, I guess.
Wait, did they say that?
What's that?
I said, did they say that?
People say it a lot, like, "Oh, it's too cold there." I'm like, we like the cold. So yes, thank you so much for joining again today. Today we are going to be talking about home buyer webinars. Is that right?
Yes, we are. I'm excited to talk about this topic.
Me too. Maybe we can go back for the folks that haven't seen the other show you were on, and we can just talk about a little bit how we know each other, which is from Keller Williams, Carmel Valley Del Mar, in the San Diego area.
That is true.
And and that goes back, gosh, how many years ago was that?
2017.
Yeah, so what's that? 6 years ago? Almost 7, maybe, depending.
Right.
Very cool.
2016, 2017, I think I was there.
Yeah, and we met in the office, obviously. And you know what? I think, too, one of the things I remember most is you doing these webinars. And I think my wife, Jen, was on your show as a lender. Is that right?
The very first one, and it was the best one.
Oh, that's cool.
It was the
I remember Jen was saying, man, this is so cool. Danielle's doing this cool thing. I was on it. There were so many people. It was so cool. And that was before the pandemic when people were doing things online anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was. I was always trying to bring something of value and do something different and just be me in this industry where it could be saturated, and you stand out by just cultivating your gift and doing things different.
Yeah. Well, you have so many gifts because you are passionate about helping people. You're passionate about helping like clients and other agents and doing well and providing a good future for yourself and helping have a win-win for everybody that you're around. So that's awesome.
I am very passionate about that. It's just something in my heart. You can't really fake that. You know what I mean? It's just, if I see a need, I want to fix it. I'm a fixer.
I like it. Very cool. Yeah. So you were, let's see, you were doing those webinars, and how did you come up with the idea in the first place to do a webinar? And
that was so long ago. Finding another way to reach people, right? Mm-hmm. I know that in our industry, we have the basics on how to generate leads. Mm-hmm. And I had to do what works for me. Now, of course, you keep the foundation, but then you can kind of twist it a little bit. So I wanted to reach more people, and I'm all about making sure people are comfortable, right? So this way they can learn about how to purchase a home. And actually from their home, they can learn it from their home, how to purchase them, but it's a real advice that can actually help them purchase a home. And so it was so long ago. It's just one of my thoughts that it was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. So.
Yeah, it's so smart that you were basically, and you still can just be in somebody's living room. So they don't have to get dressed up. They don't have to go out and, make a big production of it. They can join in on, because a lot of people just don't know the process of how to get started and
Right.
what do you do and what does it look like, the whole process from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
So you can show up in their living room and help them from the comfort of their pajamas in their
Exactly.
living room or bedroom or home office or whatever.
Right. I'm bringing it to them virtually
Hmm.
and just making it easy for them, so they'll have a better understanding of how to do all of this stuff. And it's right at your fingertips. I always
Hmm.
call myself the one-stop shop. I'm not the one-stop shop yet. I will be, but I just wanted to offer something different to people and reach them in a way that they were comfortable. They didn't have to come out and get dressed and go to a workshop. But I also like to create things, because I don't know if you remember, I actually created a financial fitness fair. I like to create things that allow people to actually do, because we talk a lot.
Hmm.
We get all this great information. We're like, yeah, I'm pumped. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then they don't do anything.
I forgot about the financial fair. Um, so were those in person?
That was an in-person event. And I had all of these. I did credit repair at that time in conjunction with real estate.
Okay.
So it
Yes.
was
Yes. Yes.
credit repair. It was me as a real estate agent. I had a lender, tax professional, financial advisor, estate attorneys. I tried to get everybody in one group, whether you're a buyer or a owner. And whatever stage that you are welcomed, because you have to know, and this is, you're going to progress, right? But if I put everybody under one roof, you can get all the information you need. And I wanted them to bring whatever stage they were in, I wanted them to bring what they needed. So if you were looking to purchase a home, then you're going to bring all your documents to get qualified. If you're
Hmm.
looking to do, if you weren't there yet, but you wanted to know what you needed to do as far as your credit repair, then we had that. If you're a seller, talking about trust and estate planning, financial advisor, so planning and all of that stuff, and just key things that people need to know about tax information and all of that stuff. So we were under one roof, and we had different, like, how do you say it, like
Stations.
stations. Yeah, different stations. I don't know. I couldn't think of the name.
I
Different
get
stations.
stuck sometimes too.
Yeah, different stations, and they would just sign in, and everybody would sign into wherever they wanted to be first, and then you sign up for each one, and whatever the time is, and then we kind of just played musical chairs with that. And in between, we
That's so
did like
cool.
trivia and things about real estate and things about all the different uh, lending and all that stuff, taxing, all that stuff. So, and
I
vision board.
what? That's dude. So okay. Sorry, I said dude, but I'm like blown away because this is like super exciting to me. And I wrote this down because I forgot. First of all, I forgot you did credit repair, so you
Yeah.
have that knowledge, so you can help people in that aspect too. But then you had all those other people there to help with a start to finish process.
Hmm.
And I wrote down, and you said it. You're Danielle Thompson, the real estate one stop shop.
Right.
Danielle
Yes.
Thompson, your real estate one stop shop. I love
Yes. Just, be on the lookout, because it's coming.
And I think we should bring it back. This financial fair or some stuff like that in San Diego. I'll come out and help do it with you.
We should. I
I'll
got a
be.
lot of great feedback on it. People, I mean, I'm doing things that people didn't do before, but it was
Hmm.
mainly to have a workshop where it was less talk, more action. If you guys really want to know what to do and you really want to accomplish these goals, have the vision, make it plain, and then let's do it. Don't leave here talking about something like, oh, it was great, and you didn't do
Yeah,
anything.
right. You made it super easy for people to take the next step or the action steps right there live
Hmm.
in any reason or capacity they needed.
Right.
Um, so this is good information for agents out there to be reaching out to those people, the vendors, the attorneys, the estate planners, the credit repair folks, the lender, and all these people are your friends. I promise. They all want to be realtors' friends. So when they see somebody that's out there taking action as a realtor and doing things to get in front of consumers and put out value to people, they
Hmm.
want to be involved in that all day.
They do.
So it was probably easy to get some of those people to come, and they were probably fired up about it, weren't they?
Yeah, we had great meetings. I had a great team at the time that helped me execute exactly what my vision was. And I was so excited. That was like probably one of the best days that I had because, like I said, I'm here to bring you something of value. How can I serve you? I'm just
Mhm.
looking at different creative ways to serve others in my career, in one of my callings that I have. So
Yeah, I love it very much too because I've always done things with a posse. So I don't just go out and do things solo usually.
right.
I always invite people. I bring other people in. So you have different personalities there. You have different skill sets. You have different, you know, and you're working together toward the same goal, which is
Mhm.
just, I love it. You could get so much more done that way.
It's so easy. It's so easy. And
Hmm.
it was just like divinely put together because everything just, we had our meetings and everything just came together. So we
Plus,
had it.
another thing I like about it is that if you show up with other people that are working with you, it shows the consumers or whoever you meet that at least a couple people like you.
Right.
So, hey, look, these guys like them.
Couple.
Gives you a little credibility.
Right, right. Yeah. They were very happy to do that. It was just, that was a great event and great
Yeah.
feedback. And I only did one though.
Well, I say we bring that one back, and we can talk more about that in a future time. But let's go
Right.
back to the webinar, which, by the
Yes.
way, these buyer webinars can also be done in person. And another idea, and I don't know, maybe you'll talk about it or whatever, but you could do this in person, and you could do it at a kind of a restaurant or a event space, and even provide a little lunch
Yeah, we
or a
could.
buffet, and your vendors, the lender, whoever wants to come to the webinar, can help support some of that cost too.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. Yes, let's go back to the webinar. Oh, another reason why I created these things is I told you I am a bit of an introvert. So I have
Hmm.
to create things that are comfortable for me, but still I can serve the masses.
This is a great thing to point out because you're not maybe an extrovert or the big gregarious whatever. Even though I know you're lovely in person and people love you, but your personality is you feel more comfortable in that other role, and so lots of other people do. So agents out there watching this is a great way for you to get in front of people, lots of people at one time, without maybe feeling overwhelmed with all of that stimulation from
Right.
people. So this is a cool alternative to that.
I wrote a book about that too. I got to
What?
get it. Yeah. How
What?
to mix your authenticity with being in, real estate. So
What's the
introvert,
book called? Or
um, my book is called, now this is kind of off the record because we didn't even speak about this.
well, the reason I want to know is because what my good friend, colleague, and business partner in Denver, Barry Overton.
Yeah, oh,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
he's written several books, and then
Brilliant.
his partners, Monica Graves, also an author, Dan
Hmm.
Gomer, also an author. I mean, these people, and then Barry's wife, Amy Rekchek, is also an author. And so he's got all of the insight. We could, if you wanted help, if you don't already have it,
Yeah, I
and get
haven't
it
published
published.
it
And
yet. It's not published just yet.
yeah,
Um,
well, we got the
I have
hookups there.
Yeah, I have a few books. I have about 5 books that I wrote because I told you I was doing a course. And
Wow.
so I wanted to include books
Excuse
for
me.
people that signed up. So anyways, the
Well, that's cool.
yeah, so anyways, but yeah, so let's go back to the webinar. I can't find the name, but it has
That's
something
okay.
to do
We'll
with
get to.
um, mixing authenticity.
I like it.
No,
So yeah,
that's
to the webinar. We'll talk book stuff again later.
right. Okay. So with the webinar, if agents, you guys want to know how to put one together. First of all, you got to start brainstorming, right? You have a plan. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to do a webinar, get on here and do something. You need to have a set, like what's the subject? What are you going to be teaching people? How are you going to be helping them? What are you going to be bringing them of value? So my webinar was how to purchase a home in less than 30 days.
Oh, so very specific.
Right. And then it had to do with just going over the actual steps of doing that. But I planned out everything for a couple of months, right? Because there's a certain way that you have to do the webinar and present the webinar. You can't just be like the clear eye guy. Remember, he was just clear eyes. Remember, he was just so monotone. Like you have to really plan You don't remember the
No,
advising clear eye guy?
not really, but
Ben Stein. Is that his name? Ben Stein?
oh, was it Ben Stein?
Shay, you're supposed to know this. You're a comedian.
Well, maybe it's because I'm under the weather, but
Yes, okay, I'll give you that.
clear
But
eyes. I'll have to look it up. But Ben Stein, right? The guy's like really
very
monotone.
monotone. Right. So you have to write out a complete plan on how you want to do it, what subjects you're going to touch on. I know they talk about, the pain versus pleasure type of things and all of that. But it's really planning out all of this stuff so that you know how to reach your audience, how to speak to them, and really when they leave, they feel educated. And that's another thing that I always want whoever I'm helping, regardless if it's a webinar or actual clients, I want them to gain knowledge about this process so that when it's all said and done, either before you get started or after we close escrow, you actually know what you're doing. You're like, hey, I actually learned about the process. I didn't just go through it. You're like present in that moment. I'm walking you through each step.
Yep. So you got your topic, first of all. And I like how specific you were talking about because in your topic is also, I've learned about this recently, is your hook, right? So your hook is how to buy. So the topic is a hook, how to buy a home within 30 days. So I mean, when people see that, they're like, well, I want to do that.
Right.
In 30 days. Yeah, me too. So that's a good one. And then what? You probably go into marketing, and planning. So, but how do you market it maybe to get it out there to people?
Well, because now we're in the social media age. So I did a lot of marketing on my platforms and a lot of Facebook ads and a lot of lives. I used to get on live a lot on Facebook and just get on there, push myself to do uncomfortable things, right? But when I have something of value to speak and it's really important, I get out there and I just do it because I don't care about, the introvert side or the uncomfortable side or the shyness of everything. I'm like, this is good information and it needs to get out there. How is it going to get out there if I don't tell people about it? Yeah. And then just sharing it with the other people who can share it on their social platforms.
Connect with other people that will help share your message.
Right.
That's a good point to put in there. And also, again, with the lives, you're live, but you don't have to be live and with other people. Right. You can be live and be reaching a lot of people out in the audience. So I used to do a lot of lives too. So I used to do previews of 10, 15, 16, $20 million houses and other ones too. So I went on lots of previews of houses and broker caravans and all of that stuff to show people houses. And to me, I'm like, well, I wonder if people are going to get sick of looking at another house that I'm showing. And the answer is no. And so many people would come up to me and be like, man, I watched your show or I watched your live the other day of you walking. That house was amazing. And I'm like not even sure that I knew that you know that I sell real estate, even though I talk about it all the time.
Right.
But they do. They are paying attention. So people are paying attention. Those are important things to do. So
majority of I stopped purchasing leads, and majority of my leads came from Facebook because I was constantly on there. I was constantly trying to find different ways to provide information to people. So it's like, you have your sphere, your social media sphere of people who have known you since you've grown up. So they're spreading the word. Oh, I know someone who's in real estate, and everybody knows about 10 real estate agents, but I was putting myself out there and people saw that. And that's where I got a lot of my clients.
Yeah, that's good. It's being the perception of the expert in your area, the area expert. That's one way to put it.
Yes.
So very good. So you did a lot of Facebook advertising, ads, and then Facebook Lives to talk about. And when you're doing those lives on a regular basis, so I would do them weekly, and I'm sure you did too. So people had something to tune into that was on brand with your message, which was, I sell real estate. I help people buy homes. I help people sell homes. So all of that goes together. So people are already engaging and watching because you're doing it regularly. And that's free, by the way, agents out there. It's free to give information and show what is happening in the community. So whichever way you're doing that. So do that. And then people will engage. And then you can start sprinkling in these other value adds.
Right. Because you remember how I got started, right? I had to be very creative. I got started, I was living in my car for the first 6 to 9 months in the industry. And
Yeah, that's amazing.
so I
That's
had
super
to find
amazing.
creative ways to get out there. And that's one thing, like when you go through different things, you get very creative. It's a way to almost enhance that. So
Yes.
you visions and you're creative and all that stuff. So I just a
Some
vision comes.
adversity and a little sprinkled with a little fear is a good kick in the pants to get a lot done fast.
Right, right,
Probably.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
So
love it. Cool. So, okay. We got our topic. We've made our plan. We've done some marketing. And then what? Or should we talk
yeah.
about?
Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, call to actions.
Call to
If
action.
after that, like, are they gonna know what to do? You got to throw in, and all of this is mixed into the webinar, right? So I know we've seen multiple, and now they're even better, right? When you see these webinars, they're talking to you, they're sharing your story, right? You share how you got started. How I started with the webinar is, my grandmother was a victim of predatory lending. And
Right.
this is why I got into real estate. And this is why it's so important for me to teach others about how to purchase property, but also how to retain it, right? You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to get it and then lose it. What's the point of that? You want to create
Right.
generational wealth. So,
Yeah. I love it. Should we take a look at your
yes,
visuals?
this is the very first webinar. I thought I'd, dust it off and bring it out to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's another thing, how to purchase your dream home with less than perfect credit.
Ooh, great topic. Good hook.
Hmm. So are we able to, let me, how do I do this? If I'm,
Is that your mouse?
oh, you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Technical difficulty. Excuse me, y'all.
You're doing good. It looks good.
Okay. I was just going to do that so everybody can see.
Go to like present mode.
Oh, okay. Is that
Look at
good?
those green lips. Yep.
Yes, this picture, I was being defiant.
I love it. I think it's cool. It pops. This is when you were at Keller Williams, which you're no longer
Yes,
there anymore, but
right.
this was from those days.
Yes. I had to dust it off. I just wanted you guys to see the original work of how it was created. And then you have your goal and you set things up like that. Of course, that's the title in the beginning of the presentation. And then you just go into it. You start asking questions. You want it to be interactive. You want people to be involved. And you want to be speaking to them. You don't want to just be not speaking with, you're speaking with them, not speaking to them is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So you make interactive things and then you just go into your webinar. What are you actually talking about? And an easy way to explain it. People don't want all these huge words like you're in, some lawyer, like we have to deal with all the disclosures, all the jargon and all that stuff. They want things that they can understand.
Yep.
And so I just created all of this stuff this way. I'm just going through I don't have to present this, right? This is just.
No. If you just see some things that are good to stick in there or to mention.
Yeah. This is just going over the actual process and what they look at and the cash reserves and all of that stuff. So I'm just giving you guys a brief overview and how to get pre-approved in less than 24 hours, right? It's all about being prepared.
These are the documents you need.
All the documents that you need, just preparing your clients for success. You've done this process over and over and over. So why would you not tell them, okay, when you meet a client and they're really serious about moving forward and purchasing a home, this is exactly what you need. And then explaining the difference between a pre-approval and pre-qualification and the desktop underwriting and all of that stuff. And then you throw in testimonials. Has people work with you? What was their experience with you? It's not just about numbers and having all these thousands of sales. Are these people going to work with you again? You want to build relationships.
I have another good point here is for all the people out there that are either freshly building a team or they have a team, for agents out there that are in the team mindset, having buyer's webinar like this is amazing training for your new agents.
Right.
And it's also something that they can use to get familiar with the process and also teach other clients and people. So these things are multifaceted tools that you can use. We made one actually during the pandemic for the same thing.
Okay.
So it's amazing.
Yeah, so that was basically it. You just, and then you people's attention span, right? You want to make sure that you're captivating them and keeping their attention, but also not talking so much that it's boring. So that's about it.
Yeah. So about how long when you actually do the presentation does it take?
Well, we were trying to have it, I think it was, I want to say 30, maybe 45 minutes. And I'm just pushing. That's because I had a lender, right? If I'm going to speak on things that are not in my area of expertise, then I'm going to bring in that expert. So it was about 30, 45 minutes. That was such a long time ago.
Yeah, let's say 30 minutes. So it's a good point to mention that you don't want these things to be, excessively long. Short and to the point is good, so that you can get the information out there. and then I guess the goal would be to get them to engage and want to take the next steps with you.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, when you're going through it, so those are just bullet points, and there's topics and things to talk about there. Excuse me. But you will be talking off in detail on each things along with the lender and having dialogue with the lender.
Right. So we're keeping it very, interactive. We're talking and all that stuff. We're opening up the floor for questions, getting everybody involved. But it was it's such an amazing experience. And I promise you, the first one that I did with Jennifer, your lovely, beautiful wife, it was so amazing. Did I tell you I forgot to record it?
Yes, you did. Oh, that's funny.
But it was like on point, everything. We were feeding off each other. You have to, even the person that you choose to do it with, if you're going to do a lender or whatever your topic is, make sure you guys have that chemistry to where you guys can feed off each other, and it just, it'll flow so easily. It was really awesome.
Yeah, I'm bummed you didn't get that recorded, and unfortunately, she's not an LO anymore,
right.
Or she would do another one with you.
Yeah, that was amazing.
But you could still find somebody else. So I think that's a key, is find a lender that is probably, what do you call it? Personable.
Yeah.
And has good energy, so that when you're presenting together, you can feed off of each other.
Right.
And also somebody that's knowledgeable and that can give helpful data. And I think it's also important to be able to read the room.
Yes, absolutely.
Because some people are, I think, unaware of the room or whatever, and they just talk data or whatever it is. And that you can lose an audience by
know your audience and read
them.
Absolutely.
Right. Adjust accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have somebody with good energy, then that helps a lot too.
Right. And so now, this is like a basic one that you can always use. I'm so creative. So I would be thinking, the times have changed. It's 2023. So I would be creating something that truly catches people's attention and offers them something of value. It'll still be a webinar, still, depending on how this, but you got to tweak it a little bit because you got to read the room and know your audience.
Yeah. And real estate is always changing and updating. So now there are challenges today that there weren't from before.
Right.
Now, and like I said, I have a buyer's webinar, and it's a buyer's presentation, home buyer presentation. So it could be live or it could be online, which, by the way, I did a ton of them, and maybe 0 people showed up to those. I can't remember exactly.
What matters. You got to keep going. But see, that's a great point to bring up, though, Shay. Did that stop you from doing anything else?
No, I kept doing them even.
Exactly.
And I even had the lenders keep coming. And so that's a good point, is, that don't give up just because stuff isn't working the way you thought. The lenders and I still went through the presentation, and I usually had an agent on too to give the presentation or help. And then what you do is you figure out what the issue is. So what didn't we do well? Why did we not get people involved?
Right.
And it was my fault. I mean, and I didn't care either because I was practicing. So that's
Right.
another good way to put it is like, it's less, you can screw up a lot easier when nobody's there watching you.
Yeah, it's about consistency though.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we can get frustrated in this business. There's a lot of frustration, but you
Yeah.
have to be consistent. Find that one thing that works for you and just keep being consistent at it and
Yeah.
keep doing it no matter if anybody show up, if one person shows up. Because when I did the financial fitness fair, when I did the webinar, I didn't have a whole bunch of people showing up. I
Yeah.
did have people that did come and they found so much value. So keep going.
That's right.
Keep going no matter
And
what.
that's the same with anything that you do in business, but in real estate especially, which we have the most experience in. But
Right.
um, it's sort of like fake it till you make it, but it's maybe not the best way to
No,
put it.
I hate that. I
Yeah.
don't want to fake it till you make it. I could never do that.
But I mean, what I'm saying is, so some people might feel like an imposter, like I
Yeah,
don't have the experience doing this. Well, by going through the reps and doing it, you're building your experience. So then you're not faking it. You're doing it. But when things are new, you're not going to be an expert. You're not going to be the best at doing
right,
that
right,
because it's your first time doing it.
right.
And I always thought it was funny when people, and I've sold hundreds and hundreds, I don't think, maybe thousands of houses, um, and through other people, definitely. And I always think it's funny is like when people say, well, have you ever sold a house in this neighborhood before? And then I say, if I only sold houses in neighborhoods I'd sold houses before, I'd never have sold a house in my life.
Right,
So it
right.
doesn't matter if I've sold houses in this neighborhood because I've sold, $4.5 million houses. I've sold multi-million-dollar houses. I've sold 400,000. I sold $40,000 condos in the gangsta ghetto of Las Vegas. I've sold houses everywhere. I
Right,
don't have to be an expert in there because I have the data and I'm very good at finding the value of
right,
a home. I have the data, I can look at everything and assess, and I can get real life value on
right.
anything. So it doesn't matter if I've sold there or not. And then the marketing part, obviously, um, we have a
I
whole
think this
system
job
for.
is, yes, you definitely need a system for that. I think the main job of a realtor besides helping their clients is marketing. You need to I won't say get a marketing degree, but you better be well versed in marketing because that is what you have to do. You have to market yourself. And that in itself is a whole nother job and can be a little bit daunting because of the results that you may or may not get, you know?
Yep. Yeah, you have to let people know what you do and that you're good at what you do.
Mhm.
And so that comes in a variety of different ways, but one of them, and the way I break it down the most simply, is that you just have to have conversations with people about selling, buying, or investing in real estate.
Right.
That's number one, easiest thing. You want to be a realtor, that's what you got to do. If you're not selling enough houses, by the way, Jeremiah Taylor is who gave me that line. If you're not selling enough houses or getting the results you need, then you're not having enough conversations. So
Right.
you need to up your conversations with strangers and have more of them. So I broke that down into our whole system. We have a 23-hour success work week schedule,
Mhm.
weekly schedule, and part of that is having 5 conversations with strangers 4 times a week. That's it. If you do that, then you'll have more business than you know what to do with. Of
Yeah.
course, then there's follow up after that. But I mean, the initial conversations is part one. Then
Right.
second part is figuring out where do I go to get these conversations with these strangers? Well, I have a whole list and system for that too. But this is a great way. So when you're talking about marketing, that's just another venue of putting yourself out there. You're not necessarily having a conversation like a two-way conversation,
Right.
but you are kind of having a conversation with people because you're saying, hey, I know things about this topic, and here's me demonstrating my value and my professionalism and what I can do, my abilities, and
Yes.
people will
Let
be
me add
attracted to that.
this. You know why I'm not a fan of the fake it till you make it?
Yeah.
Because first of all, I love wisdom. I love knowledge. So
Hmm.
one thing I was going to do always in whatever I'm pursuing is gain wisdom and knowledge, whether
Hmm.
it's talking to veterans, studying, researching, and all of that stuff. So
Hmm.
just because I didn't have the years
Hmm.
of experience, it didn't mean that I didn't have the knowledge or the wisdom that was imparted to me or that I learned to be
Hmm.
able to speak on what I was speaking. So I
Yep.
didn't have to, I couldn't fake something. If I don't know something, I don't know it. And I'm not afraid to say I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
You don't want to lie about it. Say,
right,
oh yeah, I know about that.
right. Just say you don't know, please. But it was all about gaining that knowledge, right? And not to the point where people, like I said, people are just kind of getting obsessive about, well, I was obsessive about it. But do you know what I mean when I'm saying like you're gaining the knowledge with still being able to explain things to people in a very simple way that they
Yeah.
understand. But that's building your confidence. The more you learn about something that you're really passionate about or you really love, then the more confidence you have in speaking about it. That's what builds your confidence. So you're not necessarily faking it. But I can't
True.
understand imposter syndrome because sometimes you're like, do I belong here? And it's like, yeah, you absolutely do. But that's
Yeah.
a process to get over.
Start moving into other markets, then you really feel this imposter syndrome that people give you doubts. And now that I've done it more than one time, I don't have those doubts anymore because I
Right.
know that the people saying, well, that's not how we do things here. Well, it is. They're full of it. They don't know that you
Right.
sell real estate the exact same way you do everywhere. And I've done this in small markets, little hometowns, and
Mhm.
Midwest. I've done it in two giant cities across the country. And then I've also coached agents all over the country.
Right.
And it's done the same way. Now, there are some nuances and there's some little things that are different, but finding value of a house is the same way as it is everywhere else.
Right.
Finding value of a house is finding value of a house. It can be done the same way every place. And
Yes.
then, maybe there's different ways, like in Iowa, it's an abstract state. So you're not going to have escrow and title. So little things like that are
Right.
different.
Right. Right.
But like Vegas to San Diego wasn't hugely different, although there's just ways that, are a little slightly different, but not the nuts and bolts of what makes a good real estate agent a good real estate agent. That's all the same.
Right.
But it's funny that people will try to create doubt. And but here's another thing when it comes to the fake it till you make it. So I shouldn't have used that term, but because I didn't necessarily fake it either. But I guess it's more of have the confidence to go out and
Right.
fail
Yes.
quickly, and look
Yes.
like an idiot. It's okay. You don't have to know everything, because if you're putting yourself out there and you're being honest and true and authentic with people, they're going to
Hmm.
appreciate it and like you anyway.
Yep.
So when I remember my first open houses at a guard gated neighborhood, I don't, they weren't all $1 million houses back then. They're all well over $1 million now, but
Right.
they were the highest end of Vegas at the time. And we were in a slump there. So, and I remember this was at Red Rock Country Club. I remember, people coming in. So what I did was, first of all, I had a clipboard with, it was a Tom Ferry open house dialogue.
Really?
So, yep, it had a couple, 2 or 3 questions at the beginning
Yeah.
that basically let you know if the person was a buyer or a seller, like which path to go down. So then I would
Right.
follow the script the rest of the way. But they were just questions on learning about these people. So when they came in, I had my clipboard. I had 20 of these sheets or more. And I would say, hey, how are you doing? My name's Shay Hasselman with Keller Williams, blah, blah, blah. Very nice to meet you. I'd get their names, all this stuff. And I'd be like, so, I'd ask the questions and I'd move on and I'd write down the answer. So after we got in, I'm like, well, come take a look around. I'd give you a quick tour. This is what I always say. I'll give you a quick tour and then you could just walk around and do whatever you want the rest of the time, with me or without me.
Right.
And so then I'd say, I'm also going to just make sure I write down, I'll ask you a few questions, learn more about, what your plans are. And I'm just going to write it all down. So then I'm just telling them that, hey, I'm not a creep following you around, writing things down as you say it. I'm doing
Right.
it for a reason. I don't want to forget. And I just want to make sure that I can answer any questions that you might have. And they're just like, okay, cool.
Right.
And then I'd go down and write them down. And if they asked me a question I didn't know, I would say, that's a good question. I don't have the answer for that right now, but I will get back to you at the end of the day with the answer to that question. And
Right.
I'd write it down. So nobody said like, oh, you idiot.
Right. Let
It's
me
like,
let me
okay.
yeah, let me find out for you. I don't know that right now. I think that you do that. And we all should.
Hmm.
I don't have that information for you right now, but I'll get that to you.
Yeah, good question. That's what I always say. That's a good question. I don't have the up to date right now answer for you, but I'll give it to you by the end of the
Right,
day.
right, right.
They were always appreciative, and that of course, I just kept talking to them as friendly, and then they're like, yeah, you have a lot of. They always say you have good energy. You have a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm like, do you what I say? Are you working with an agent right now or something? They'd be like, yeah, I'm working with an agent. I'm like, cool. Do you have a buyer's broker's agreement signed with them? And they're like, a buyer's what? And I was like, do you have a contract that you signed with them saying that you're only going to work with them exclusively?
Right.
And the answer is always, well, no, I didn't sign any contracts with them. Cool. Well, then I'd love to, if you'd like to, test drive me and we'll go out and look for houses for one day. And if you like the way I do things and how I do it, then you can work with me. If not, then I'll never call you or bug you ever again. And they're like, well, okay, we'll see, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll be like, cool. Well, I'll give you a call, next week and see how things are going and see if you want to go look at some houses. If you want to go on a test drive, you wouldn't just go on the lot and buy a car and just take off in it without test driving it, right?
Right.
And they were like, no, you're right. I'm like, cool. So you should give me a test drive.
So
And it worked really well.
I like that. I was gonna say, so did you use buyer broker agreements a lot?
I didn't use them at all. I used them a few times, but
Okay.
my point was, so if I did, I would only do a 1 day one, but I failed on a lot of those. I could probably do those a lot better now.
Your stance. I'm kind of. I didn't use them a lot.
I've never used them because I qualify my people so well and I connect with them so well in the beginning that it's not usually an issue. And if somebody dips or screws me over somehow or whatever, it's happened a handful of times. But
Right.
what I always say is that if you have 10 other people in the pipeline that you're working with because you do such a great job connecting with people and helping them, then it doesn't matter. The ones that are icky and that do you over bad, then that's okay.
Right.
That's on them. That's not on me.
Right. Yep.
So,
I like that.
So I would follow up with these people, and I remember. I mean, these were my very first 1 or 2 open houses. Some of them that I remember these conversations, and I knew nothing. I mean, I was a brand new, fully fresh licensed agent, learning as I went. I had amazing mentors at Keller Williams. Rob Jensen was my guy there, and he was just very good at giving me knowledge and stuff to study and the process to do it, which is what I don't teach the exact same thing he does now, but all the fundamentals were there. But so I followed up with these people, and I remember a couple of them. One of them specifically, he had an agent, him and his wife, and they liked her. They're like, well, she's not done anything wrong, and she's, but we really, really like you. Because I'd follow up with them. I'm like, let's go just look at houses for the day.
Right.
And they're like, well, I mean, Shay, as much as we really like you, we just don't feel it would be right because this gal hasn't done anything wrong. I'm like, that's fine. I get it. No worries. I don't want you to do anything that you don't feel would be right. So, but just let me know if you ever do want to, and we can. So they ended up buying a house with somebody else, nowhere near in the price range of the house that they came to look at with me that I was there, which is happens often.
Yes.
And then I bet you a year later, I followed up with them anyway after they bought the house, and I just would check in with them. Hey, how's everything going? Just make sure everything's cool. I don't want you to forget about me. And they're like, oh, that's nice, Shay. A year later, they ended up selling that house, the house they bought, and they said something. The agent didn't do anything wrong, but she just, wasn't maybe the right agent for us, or we really liked you and we want to work with you. I'm like, that's great. Let's do it. So they had me over. That was my first listing presentation and first listing ever.
Wow.
And they went on to buy and sell 7 more houses with me over the next 3 or 4 years. They sold a house about every year, like I do.
I love that. See, it's all about building relationships. You're connecting with people. And when you're genuine and you really care, people can sense that, they can feel that, and they want to work with you. You're building,
And I didn't know all the knowledge that some people that had been in the industry for a long time, but I was smart, I was fast, and I would figure things out and get answers rapido.
Yep.
And I was out in the field constantly, like you were saying, basically training myself
Yes.
as much as I can by putting myself out there and being in it.
Yeah. You have to. I
Yep.
just got out there. Yeah, that's one thing. I would go to different events. So, a
Mm-hmm.
new agent starting out, you just immerse yourself in the business, ask
Mm-hmm.
questions, go to the events and all that stuff, and really it was more educational. Anything that had to do with education and learning the business, that's what I was going to do. I got mentored and trained by a smaller company. That's where I learned everything.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I just was like, oh, this is great. Like they really, I was their real estate assistant. I was a realtor there. I
Mm-hmm.
paid for myself to become a transaction coordinator so I can learn the contracts and learn, the
That's super
back end of
smart.
that. I learned, I did, when they would leave, I would be doing all of, their stuff to a certain extent. So I was doing 5 things at this job and I was building my confidence because sometimes we can cause a delay in ourselves because we're lacking that. We're like, well, we have to know everything. And I just truly wanted to know the front end and the back end of the business so that
Mm-hmm.
when I do, and I was ready to take that step forward, that I knew what I was talking about to a certain extent because, you're still new.
Yeah.
And that was the second brokerage that I was at that I just learned so much there. So they'll
Yeah.
always have a place in my heart.
Yeah, that's awesome. It doesn't really matter how you get the information as long
Mm-mm.
as you're getting it. And so
Yep.
there are different ways, like you just said, to be trained while you're getting paid.
Yep.
So I did that myself in Las Vegas by creating a whole renter system. So I was getting huge amounts of renter leads um, in for free off Craigslist and buyer leads.
Oh wow.
And basically I would do, gosh, how many did I do? About 20 per month. Yeah, 20 to 30 per month renters.
Wow, really?
And I got paid about $300 per one. And I
Okay.
got the system down to 2 hours full. The time that I would spend with the client is 2 hours from start to finish. That's
Mm,
showing them the homes and doing their paperwork and everything.
wow.
So this trained me, and I was making 6-10 grand a month,
Yeah, that's a lot.
to
That's nice.
train how to schedule homes and go look at homes and have conversations with the realtors and look in the neighborhoods. And so that quickly translated into what I had to the buyers. They quickly started turning into buyers
Right.
and sellers. But when I was out showing buyers, I'd be like, yeah, in this neighborhood, this is, how many houses are here. This is the builder. I put somebody in that house a couple weeks ago, a few months ago. I put a person in that house. I didn't say I sold it. I just said I put a person in.
Right.
And one of my clients in that house, and it's really cool in there. That one had different finishes than this one, and this, and they're like, man, you really know all about Summerlin, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm out here every day. This is what I do.
Hey, that's what my family says. Shout out to Summerlin. Yes.
Yeah. So, all that good stuff. And then going back to these webinars, this is a really good way to get the information that you need for either new agents or established agents, whichever one. You can use those also to get information, but also to give it to the consumers who really don't have any
Right.
knowledge. And then you get to help them, and it's a win-win.
Right. Because we kind of, I won't say we're trying to keep them off of the news. Everybody wants to
True.
follow these fads and not do anything because of the interest rates. But those who are savvy and all of that, they know how to maneuver in any type of market, and they understand it's a real estate cycle. So that's what I try to teach my clients as well. It's a cycle. This isn't new.
Yes.
Nothing is new. We understand how things work. Nothing is new. And so once you understand the market, you're able to do anything in that market. It's just your knowledge. But if you're going to allow the media to scare you when you see things go up and all of that stuff, then it'll prevent you from moving forward.
I'm buying a house right now because it's an insane time to buy a house. It's awesome. Insane good. Interest rates are high, making it buyers are on the fence. Some of them are priced out of the market.
Right.
But people are having a harder time selling their house. It's still not a terrible time to sell. Inventory is so low. But when you find the right mix on stuff, I'm buying a house right now for like $400,000 or $500,000 under value.
Where in Iowa?
Yeah, in Iowa. Yep. It's
I
a
love it.
14 acre animal farm. It's
I
awesome.
want acreage.
That's what this is. And I was in
$3.
contract on this house a few months ago for $100 and some thousand more, and I canceled. Even though it was a good deal, it was just a lot of work. Now I'm into contract on it for another $100,000 off, and wait till I'm done. When I'm done, this thing will be worth $1.3 million, and I'm buying it for $650.
Oh, that's a great deal.
Yeah. So
And I will
my point is that the opportunities are out there right now,
really have to
especially
look.
to
Yeah.
buy stuff. And then, yeah, we're going to have a high interest rate. I don't care. We also did a rate buy down. So we had the seller give us a credit. So our first year interest rate is going to be 4.99, I think.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
second year will be 5.99. Third year will be 6.99. Great,
Right.
whatever. But anyway, hopefully by then interest rates will go down. And if not, then who cares? Then I'm just paying what everybody else is paying right now.
Right. They're already going down. So yeah, I think it's still a great time to buy myself. So
I mean, mathematically, it's true.
Get my toe in there in the market as well, and all of that stuff. So
right, we were talking about that a little bit. Your plans, you have some cool ones, but because when the interest rates go up, and they will, go back down, and they will, then all these people that wait for the rates to go down are going to jump in and drive the prices of the houses through the roof. So then,
are they taking notes on that? Say that again, Shay, just for the record. I don't think they understand what they're about to do, but
some people do, some people don't.
Right.
Some people are listening to, I've had some clients say, some potential clients, new people say, well, my family and so say it's a terrible time to buy because interest rates are so high. I'm like, okay, good. So when the interest rates go low, you're going to pay an extra $50,000 above appraised value because you're going to be bidding against 20 other buyers that want the same house as you. So you're going to be upside down in your house when you buy it, and you'll have a low rate, and you probably won't live there for more than 4 or 5, 6 years anyway. Right. So it doesn't make any sense, So anyway.
So that's why they need us to educate. So agents need to understand it's all about educating our clients, because if we allow them to get sucked into what they're being, told and what they see on, TV, then they're always going to be moving in fear, and we don't want them to move in fear. So
that's right. No fear from us. We're here to help you, guide you in the right direction, and find out what's the right fit for you. We don't pressure anybody. We just help.
We do what makes sense.
I heard your alarm. That means that we both have to go.
Right.
So thank you so much for joining us today. And if anybody needs anything regarding real estate in San Diego, Danielle's information is down at the bottom. She's an amazing realtor. She's an amazing person. And she's happy to consult and just have conversations with you to help you make the decision on your next move. So thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you, Shay. Thank you for having me.
You bet. And we'll talk real soon.
Yes, we will.
Have a good day.
Everybody. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.